We're going to show you some of the collections of insects, particularly butterflies, in the Putnam Museum right now. I know everybody usually thinks about insect collections and butterfly collections as these big collections full of pinned butterflies, and we do have a lot of those. But I thought it might be fun to look at some of the unusual types of mounts we have for butterflies. Over on the side where you can see some of the white mounts here, these are called Denton patent mounts, and they're actually produced by a family in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The father of the family went all over the world collecting butterflies, and he had thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And when he died, his children actually created a business out of presenting butterflies, and they came up with this really cool way of presenting them. They're actually on, it's like a plaster mount with like an indentation for the bodies, and so you get these wonderful looking butterflies, bright white against them. The colors show really well. The only problem with those, of course, is that you can't see the backs. You can only see the front or the back, whichever way they have it mounted. So of course that's good for business, because then you have to actually buy two different butterflies to show front and back. A lot of these were done for Victorian houses and Victorian institutions, because people in the Victorian era were really crazy about natural science, and so they all wanted these beautiful butterfly displays. The other side, we have ones that actually show some interesting ways of mounting. We have, it's Mr. Priester's collection, and Mr. Priester, I believe he was associated with a bank and then also a brewery in the 1800s, early 1900s. These butterflies and moths actually date to about 1904. So they're actually in pretty good shape considering how old they are. But what's really nice about these, of course, is that you've mounted them between two panes of glass. So you can see the front, and then you can see the back. And that's really pretty important, because a lot of times the front and the backs of butterflies look entirely different. Let's see if I have one here that shows it. Let's see, is this? You can see the difference in the colors. And then we'll flip it. Major differences. Sometimes they even have different patterns. This is a collection of what you usually see when you think of butterflies in collections. They are pinned butterflies. This collection is kind of important to us because it belonged to J.D. Putnam. J.D. is probably the reason why there's still a Putnam Museum, actually. He was a young man. He got interested in insects very early on. When he was about 11, he had major collections of all sorts of butterflies and geology material, and he met people from the Davenport Academy of Natural Sciences, which is what the Putnam Museum actually was founded as. And they introduced him to people at the Academy, and he decided he wanted to join. But he didn't want to join unless his mother and father could join. And so we ended up with the Putnam family becoming involved with the Academy. And of course, when they actually established a fund for us that actually kept us in business for over 100 years at one point. So we really depended upon them for a lot of things. JD's interesting. He was very young. He was also very sickly. Ultimately, he probably died of TB when he was about 26. And so his family would send him out with collectors like famous botanists and things when they went out to Colorado and Utah, because the air was so much better for somebody who was suffering from lung problems. And so most of these butterflies were actually collected in Colorado around 1872. So I think they look pretty good considering that they're way over 100 years old.